Hello, hello. Today is August 13th. It is a Thursday. It is just a bit, sorry, microphone went a little crazy just now. It is a little bit before noon. I am officially starting, halfway through about my third day of my new job. What can I say about that? So many things and so little things. I feel like I wouldn't necessarily want to, give the name or the position exactly of what I'm working as, but I am officially an accountant, so yay. And I guess what I can talk about is just the fact that it's so crazy how a week ago I was on vacation right now, but a couple days before that I went from being, I wouldn't even call myself well seasoned at my last organization, but I went from knowing things and knowing processes and people and how folks like to be communicated to and all the little nuances and all of the shorthand that people use in that industry. And now I am a newbie, and I must say I am a bit overwhelmed with my first assignment. And I am slowly, I don't have to start it yet. I have more e-learning I need to get through. That's just the welcome to the organization. Here's all of the e-learnings that you have to do. So I've still got those, but I was like, oh man, yeah, I really am an accountant now. And I apologize if you hear noise. There's construction happening nearby. I'm currently taking a little break and taking a little jaunt around the business complex that my new job is in. But what was I saying? Yeah, I'm an accountant, and I have to balance things. And the biggest thing for me, though, is it's just hard, right? I can tell it might be a little challenging just because of the way the documentation is. I feel like documentation is one of the most challenging things for everybody, and having very clear guidelines on how you go about a process is can be hit or miss in any organization. And so I'm just realizing that a lot of what I'm learning is going to have to be through asking questions and whatnot, which is fine. I'm comfortable with doing that. I just also love when there's really good documentation and clear instructions on things. But I think that's also, the nature of the work that I'm doing is it's very different assignment to assignment. So you can't necessarily have a guidance document that's perfectly catered to each assignment. So I understand why you have to ask a bunch of questions instead. It's just, when you're new, it can be a little hard. So I'm trying to talk myself up into remembering to ask a lot of questions. But yeah, the photos you might be seeing right now, I'm sorry I didn't explain them earlier, are from a trip to Port Angeles that my boyfriend and I took the week in between me ending my last job and me starting this one. So that's what you're seeing right now, plus whatever summer things I have going on. But yeah, I just feel my reality has been so greatly altered between last week and this week. And just I'm also working 4 days in person while and 1 day remotely while I'm onboarding, which having been fully remote to going to 4 days in person is quite the shock to the system, I will say. But yeah, dealing with that, trying to navigate energy for going to dance class or a workout later in the day. And today I was supposed to go to a workout class, but I did not sleep well last night. I was just up. I did finish a book that I will talk about later. But after that, my back was just really hurting, and it kept me up for a lot of the night. So I'm running on E a little bit today. But yeah, I just can't believe that we're halfway pretty much almost halfway through August as of this Saturday. That is crazy to me. And that it's finally here. I must say there's like a level of relief that I do feel now that I finally started the job. There was a lot of like pent up tension that was building, I think, between leaving the last job and like not having yet started this one. So I do feel a sense of relaxation of like, oh, finally, like I'm here and the job's just gonna happen, you know? And so that was the other thing I wanted to talk about while we're still on the job topic is it's so funny. I feel younger now that I'm like new in a position again, and not that like my coworkers are all necessarily my age. It's pretty mixed, but just like being this new and like more so just like the industry itself being new to me and like truly being a beginner is intimidating and also kind of like a youth serum in a way. So that's one part of how I'm feeling. But then on the other hand, it's like when I was younger, I feel like it's so, maybe it was just because of the jobs that I had, but the job maybe took up more of my brain and I would think about the job more outside of work. Whereas now I feel like I know the job's going to happen. And so I'm thinking actually, while I'm at work, I'm obviously thinking about the job and trying to learn well and do all that. But outside of work, I am, or like in the passing minutes where I'm not thinking about, learning this new job, I'm thinking a lot more just about the future and like what I want to do in my free time. I feel like I wasn't necessarily thinking about that all as intently previously as I am now. So that's an interesting thing. I think there's just more of like, I think when I was like in my early 20s and graduating, everything that I was concerned about were the things that were kind of within an arm's or a hand's grasp or whatever, close by. That's what I'm trying to say. But now it's like I'm thinking more about like the next, like, I don't know, 2 to 5 to 10 years. I'm certainly not thinking past 10 years as often. But I do think a lot about like, what do I want by 35 or something like that? Like, do I still think I'll be here? And it's hard to say on day 3, but I just feel like my brain has expanded a bit on that front, whereas I'm not just thinking about what's right in front of me, I'm thinking about the future. So there's that. But I do need to start making my way back. I can't be gone for too long. I have things to do, people to chat to. Hello. Today is Friday, August 21st, which, like, first of all, ouch, how is it already August 21st? I really can't believe it. But more than that, today's Friday, and it's early in the morning. I haven't quite logged on yet, but I'm just about rounding out my second week of my new job, and oh boy, just like, I did not realize how like comfortable I was in my last job, and how even though earlier in this video I think I mentioned I'm like not that well seasoned, I was definitely really starting to catch on to like a lot of all the internal ins and outs of my old organization, and I can just really feel right now the weight of being new. And, not only new to the organization that I'm working in, but also just new to accounting. Like, I feel like a level of new that I really haven't experienced in a long time. Maybe the last time I experienced this like level of like newness was when I was teaching. And I don't know if I've ever meant that before, but I did teach at one point. And that was an intense learning curve. And I'm just knee deep in that feeling of like, I don't know anything and I feel unhelpful. It's hard to be new and unhelpful. And then it's also just like, every system's new. Every theory is new for me. There's just so much to learn. And I'm also commuting quite a bit more right now while I'm onboarding. So I am currently in office 4 days a week, which is a vast difference compared to my previous job where I was 100% remote. So that transition is hitting me. And just like, I don't know, the whole like having graduated and then trying to kind of like create a moment to breathe has been good. Like June and July were very busy, as I might have mentioned in previous videos. And I feel like I was just about getting to that point where I was like starting to kind of come back down to earth after having been really busy from getting my degree and also working full time. And now I've, flipped that on its head and I've started this job. And I know in like a couple months I will certainly feel better about where I'm at than I am where I'm at, right now. Just like the newness of it has been just kind of like shocking and overwhelming for me. Um, More so than I expected, I think is the thing. Is like I expected a new position to definitely have like a learning curve and be challenging. But yeah, I'm just realizing there's so much to learn. And I think this is also just like me experiencing like accounting in practice versus accounting as just like a school subject. It does make me hesitant though. I had told myself, I think I mentioned this in the last video as like a CPA update, but I was aiming to try to start studying in November. Hopefully that's when I will kind of ease into like a more hybrid schedule and I won't be working fully in person 4 days a week. That should free up a lot more time for me because I won't be commuting as much. And I was thinking I would start studying then, but I don't know. I'm realizing maybe I need more time than I thought, and maybe I'm going to push it off to January of next year to start, which not ideal. I would like to start now. So I don't know. It's early doors. I'm overwhelmed. I am still very thankful and very glad I am in this position. I am thinking to other roles I had interviewed for that would potentially be, more intense than the one I'm in right now. And I'm like, oh boy, thank God I picked a role that at least is like pretty chill. Like once I get more versed, it should be very chill. It's just very intense right now just because it is all new. And I say very intense, but like, I'm still only working like a 40-hour work week. It's just my brain is very turned on when I'm at work. It's also, though, kind of staggered by, like, I'm new, so they can't give me, like, super complex things. So I'm doing, like, just, like, a lot of data entry, which is good. I need to get, like, versed in, like, all the documents that I'm needing to look at. So it's, like, on one hand, I'm very overwhelmed, and my mind is thinking very hard about accounting. On the other hand, sometimes I've been catching myself being like, oh, boy, this is just a lot of data entry. And, that can be kind of dry sometimes. And then on top of that, when you're just like, having to be in office, like I'm also so fidgety. Like when I work from home, I am like constantly like moving around in my chair and I'm, taking a second to lie on the floor because I have like lower back pain that I deal with. And so it's just like a lot harder managing those like day-to-day body things when you are in office. That being said, yeah, I'm thankful for the position. It's just this transition is hitting me much harder than I think I would have expected. But it's okay. I had a little crash out about it last night. But that's okay. It happens. Oh, I am looking out my window as I'm recording this, and there is a squirrel that is on the fence, and it's pretty big, but he's looking like he's having a good time. Okay, I guess that's my transition into the other things that I wanted to talk about, which are the thing that is like really been getting me through these last 2 weeks, and quite frankly, is the thing that is going to get me through this fall, is the ACOTAR series and the Sarah J. Maas universe, and the two, not one, but two releases that are coming in October and in January. Oh, October of this year and January of next year. This week, I think it was Wednesday, she dropped the cover art and the titles and like a brief description for both books. And I am so flippin' excited. I read ACOTAR, the series, maybe in like 2022 or 2023. I can't quite remember. But it like fully gobbled me up, like in terms of addictiveness, and also gave me the worst like reading hangover afterwards. And I remember being like, this is a fantastic series, and I really, really liked it. Sad that it doesn't seem like this author is going to be writing any more books in this series anytime soon. She tends to release things. She releases a lot of books, but she hasn't released an ACOTAR book in a while. And so I was like, sorry, I just got sidetracked because I could hear the neighbors, I think, out walking their dog. It sounded really close to me for whatever reason. Where was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, yes. I'm extremely excited for this release. And so I started in preparation after hearing that this was going to be a thing. I was like, okay, let me start the series when I go back to, I was going to say back to school, but when I start this new job. I'm going to have to be like I'm having to be very regimented just with like my life starting this new job, with like trying to make sure I go to bed on time and I'm packing my lunch. And there's a lot of, routine and kind of maybe restriction I have to adhere to Monday through Friday, just to like kind of make sure I'm like having enough energy to go into work every day. And so reading or like the audiobook has been huge. It's been making my commute just like actually look forward to driving home 40 minutes sometimes, because I'm like, oh, I get to listen to 2 or 3 chapters of the book. And, it's forcing me to want to go on more walks after work and all that. And I'm just like in a time right now where I could totally see myself coming home after work and just like flopping and not feeling, the motivation to like do anything. But between dance class, which I've been going to sparsely, but I have still been going to, and listening to the ACOTAR series, it's really helped me like stay motivated with like actually doing things after work, which is more than I can ask for. So my reading plan is as such. I've already finished A Court of Thorns and Roses. I finished that sucker real fast. I have now, and if you know, I literally this morning just finished chapter 55 of A Court of Mist and Fury. So if you know, you know. I would say I'm unwell, but I have read the series before, so I was prepared for what was coming. It's so good. This story, everyone knows. The fandom knows this book in this series is maybe the best. I'm also a huge Nesta fan, and I love the most recent book. So it's hard for me to say because I think her arc is fantastic. But yeah, I am amidst Akamath, and that's A Court of Mist and Fury, the second book, the abbreviation, and I'm loving it. I'm gobbling it up as well. And so I am anticipating I will be good and done with A Court of Mist and Fury probably by the end of the weekend, which is both exciting and utterly heartbreaking at the same time. I was contemplating, I'm like, you know what, when I finish this series and when I'm finished with these new books like that'll be released in October and January, I might take it upon myself to go back and listen to the dramatic read. I've never listened to it before, but I think this is the series that I reread for like comfort at this point. I'm not someone who rereads books like ever, but the fact that I'm like rereading this one at all, and I am having like the same level of like just like absolute infatuation with it, I'm like, oh, I think this is a book series I need to listen to the audiobook, maybe own the books for, and also try to listen to the dramatized read of. So I am probably going to finish A Court of Mist and Fury by the end of the weekend, like I said. And then I'm torn as to what to do because I started reading the Throne of Glass series a while ago, and admittedly, it kind of didn't totally stick with me. I feel like after reading ACOTAR, I was like, there's not the same level of like really deep inner monologue development and romance, duh. And I love I'm not here just for like the romance of it all. I actually quite like fantasy, and I like sci-fi, and I like adventure series and books and movies and TV. And so I'm here for the actual like plot of it all. And so I don't know. Maybe I jumped into Throne of Glass too soon after reading ACOTAR the last time, but I do have it. I have read the first, and I'm halfway through the second book in the Throne of Glass series. That being said, all of the girlies are out here saying how in preparation for the next release in October, well, not me, but readers should try to have the ACOTAR series and Crescent City underneath their belt, because apparently Crescent City has a lot of overlap. Like the settings have a lot of overlap with each other. I think Prithian is a thing in Crescent City. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. I haven't read the books. But so I would like to read Crescent City before the October release, in addition to finishing ACOTAR, like both series. And then I will read the most recent ACOTAR come October. And then I think I might try to do Throne of Glass between October and January, when the second, like, the part 2 of the book comes out. Because really what she's saying is, like, the next 2 releases are, like, the same story, but, like, the story was too big. They couldn't put it in one book. So it's kind of like a part 1 and part 2. And I actually... Maybe she just said it was a 3-part series, so this might just be part 1s and parts 2s of a 3-part series. Sorry, that was repetitive. But, yeah, I have a lot of reading to do, basically is the plan. And I'm so excited that there's another release. And I think that should get me through... Like, I'm most concerned with just having at least... My commuting is quite a bit these days. Like, if I choose to drive, sometimes the drive can be 40 minutes one way, and if I choose to train, that train ride is about 50 minutes each way. So I'm looking at like almost 2 hours of like free reading time, book listening to time a day, in addition to like any sort of relaxing that I might want to do on the weekend. So I am blasting through ACOTAR. And so I'm like, dang, I'm really going to not have enough reading to do. I'm going to end it early, and basically I'm going to have to wait for the next book to come out, because I am, ravenously consuming the content. And so what I think I'm going to do, if I add Crescent City to that, it gives me a lot more to read and will hopefully make... the reading experience of the October release all the better. All this to say, I am knee deep in the Sarah J. Maas universe right now. It is borderline consuming my every waking thought when I have when I'm not at work, and a little bit when I'm at work, if I'm being honest. Like, I sometimes catch myself being like, wow, I cannot wait to get off work to read more. I'm thinking about the characters and the adventure that they're going on. And another additive to the all this to say is, like, this is so wonderful to, like, have while I'm, like, starting this new job, to be reading the series again. Because it really, like, I don't know if other people have experienced this, but sometimes when you're having to kind of just, like, put your head down and learn things for a while. I'm in like another year again of like having to just like put my head down and learn things for a bit after having done that for the last 2 years. And it can be hard to pick that all back up again. And, on top of that, try to also, cross my fingers to do the CPA starting in November. But like all of this is meaning, I'm new to my job. I like don't have a bunch of PTO yet. I'm in an organization where I don't get like a bunch of time off front loaded. So like I'm looking at many months of probably not going on like vacations and stuff, and any sort of like 3-day weekend that is built in to our federal system. You know how most places will give you at least like the federal holidays off. Like those are the days off that I'm getting. So it's not like I'm getting extra time to do things outside of work. And life can easily kind of become just going to the gym and going to work and coming home from work and doing the dishes, putting the dishes away, making dinner, all of that. And time just goes by like that. And I find that when I enter these phases of life, something like a good book series will also enter at the same time. And it really helps like level out the feelings of kind of the mundane. Like I hate to call it that because I do believe life is beautiful and vibrant and exciting. But at this very moment, my life is not very vibrant. I will be honest. It's very spreadsheet heavy and not full of, it's full of new adventures in a very particular way, but I'm not leaving a desk for a new adventure. So the books allow me mentally to leave my desk for a new adventure, which is like essential for me these days. Wow, that got kind of deep and almost borderline existential for a moment. I think that's something else I run into since leaving school is like my brain has started to have room for thought about things other than myself in my own life. I've actually had a moment to, think about everything. And kind of having to squash that and kind of get back in the box of, succeeding in a 9-to-5 has been also maybe a little bit of a harsh transition for me. And so reading allows me to stay in a more magical, spiritual place. So, with that, I think that is my update for you. I have no idea what the next video is going to be. I meant to release this video like a week ago, and life has just been a lot. But I do plan on trying to release another video before the end of August. I am entering week 3 next week, and I really am also, like, since day one, I'm feeling much more, can't say I'm feeling much more helpful in my job, but I'm picking things up. I'm getting assignments, I'm getting projects, I'm learning how to use all the software. I'm starting to pick up all these little accounting rules and theories and policies. And it's just, it's a slow burn. That is my story these days, the slow burn of becoming an accountant. But yeah, just trying to make sure I unplug this weekend and am fresh as a daisy for the start of my 3rd week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.